And it's their responsibility to figure out how to also make that serve their own agenda.
I love that. I'm literally like, at one point where you were talking, I'm like, don't give her a high five right now. Just hold on, just wait. Because that was really so good. I'm just like, stop. Welcome to the Sold Out Sales Podcast, the podcast that will equip both the seasoned sales professional and the more reluctant seller with mindset shifts and strategies needed to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Well, welcome back to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I'm always excited to be here, but I am so excited because I have my friend Sarah Heeter here with me today. You all have met her before, and I've been listening back to this episode going, oh my God, that was so good. I can't wait to ask you this. We got to talk about these other things. So today we get to go and talk about things a little bit deeper. And this will be fun because you've done this recently. So I would love to hear what's something else. Tell us a little bit for those who haven't read, who haven't saw, you got to go back and watch the previous episode. We'll put the number in the show notes. But tell the people who don't know you yet a little bit about who you are, what you do. But what's one more thing that they're not going to know about you if they read your bio or go to your website?
Okay, so I have been making updates in all the places, but I'm going to say this counts because it's new.
Okay.
You know this about me.
Okay.
But I've just recently taken on the Director of Public Policy role on the board for the National Association of Women Business Owners with Tish.
Yes.
And I'm excited. I've been involved for a little over a year now, and I've been on committees, and this is like a bigger step in being involved. And it surprises people because I do podcasting. Some people know now, like I shared last time, my involvement with Girl Scouts, but they don't know about my policy background. I actually teach public policy at ASU. I have 3 degrees in policy and political science. And so NABO is the perfect blend of that policy background and entrepreneurship. And it's just sort of like amazing how all those little breadcrumbs of your life end up adding up together.
Make a beautiful loaf.
Yeah, I don't know where else to
Well, first of all, to be honest with you, I'm sitting in the boardroom with you when I learned this. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't even know all of that. And it's kind of like bossy. Big time bossy to know that you have all of this amazing background. And it's like you have the best blend of both that kind of like entrepreneur, almost like authority with this fun and still bossy part of your business that helps people to really, increase their revenue with podcasting, get more visibility and all of these fun things as well. So it is a really, really great blend. And I'm so delighted to have you on the board with NABO as well, because for those of you all who don't know, she was a part of our board last year and just took our visibility to a whole different level with the way that you helped us with our social and things of that nature. And I know that's not even like the top thing that you do. So you do a lot of things really well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
For sure. Yeah. I mean that for sure. I've been a member for a long time. We've had some great, amazing people as a part of that board, but to see the way that we just kind of elevated things here recently was really fantastic.
I am happy to be part of it. I feel the same. I think it's a really powerful group of women, and I'm honored to be part of it and excited to see where we're going with this next year.
I know.
Fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll keep you guys posted on that. So I really want to talk a little bit about, of course, Sold Out Sales Podcast. So people want to talk about sales, but I want to talk a little bit more. Last time we were together, we talked about how what are some of the things they should be doing to really monetize, if you will, their podcast and things of that nature. But I want you to tell us, what are some of the more unique things? Because the thing I love about your podcast, the word I came up with for your podcast was rebellious.
Yeah.
I was literally like, it's a little rebellious, and it captures your attention because it's not what you might think, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the more unique things that someone who's really looking to get more visibility with their podcast, and they might be thinking, I can't do that, but they really could. What are some of the things you would recommend?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. First, thanks for shouting out my podcast. So my podcast, in case you didn't know, is Big Brave Business. Yeah. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And that has been an interesting challenge, right? Yeah. Because then it's like, how do we take, and the first season I think was less big and less brave, but that makes sense. And I think, how do you take the conversations that are happening on all business podcasts and make it different, make it bigger, make it braver? And having that in the title has been a good reset for both me and I think guests to say like, no, we're not just doing the canned answers here. So I think that's one thing that is an interesting challenge for people, both as guests and as hosts when it comes to podcasting, as far as what can you do to be unique. As a guest, don't give the same interview every single time you're on a podcast. If somebody loves what they heard from you and they want to go look you up and search for your name and see what else they can hear, then they're going to find the same exact interview over and over again. That feels really disappointing.
It absolutely does.
So similarly, I think there's something to be said for having questions prepared as a host of what you would really like to ask, but making sure that they're more than just tell me about yourself. And I love that kind of one of the ways you approach that is not just tell us a little bit about what you do, but it's tell me something that people wouldn't know about you, because it forces people to give a different answer than their canned elevator pitch that they give all the time. And I think if it can be found on your website, if it can be found in your bio, it's a waste of the most prime real estate of that podcast. Like, make it interesting. Give people a reason to listen. So I always say, like, start with your, and we might have talked about this last time, but it's worth repeating. Start with your most interesting question first. Like, what is the most important thing that your audience wants to know from that guest? And you start there and then see where the conversation goes from there. So it does warrant, some level of preparation ahead of time. But I think also, as you mentioned before we hit record, like being willing to be flexible and get off the script, and it doesn't have to feel like a morning talk show. So I think those are some ways to be unique. As far as like bringing them back to sales, I think that part takes practice. And I think that's probably true of sales in all capacities. It's a muscle that you're building. And I think practicing offering what you sell in all kinds of different contexts, that always be selling, that's hard.
It is. It is. And I literally have changed that. I've changed it to always be connecting, because I feel like when we're connecting with people and we make the perfect connections, it'll end up in sales eventually anyway. So I love that. So let me pull back just a moment. What would you say? Because I am of the thought that I always want to be prepared, but I'm always willing to change the script. I'm always willing to pivot, whether I'm speaking or whether I'm doing a podcast or whatever. How do you feel about podcasts that aren't the same? Because some people get really attached to the questions that the podcast host asks every time. And they go because they can't wait to hear the answer to that one question. How do you feel about podcasts that are a little bit, different?
I think there's no wrong way to do it. I think that's really the truth. I think it depends. It really depends on who is your audience. What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want them to get out of it? And also, what do you want to get out of it, right? It's those three pieces. And that's in, so my company is called PodFox. We do podcast production and strategic consultation. And in our framework, we have what's called the Audio Revolution Roadmap. It's the roadmap to revolutionary podcasting. So like podcasting that is shaping your industry, changing the world, breaking barriers, overcoming obstacles, et cetera. And so like, what does that literal roadmap look like? And step one on the roadmap is getting really clear on those three things. So who's listening? What do you want them to get out of it? And what do you want to get out of it? That's really going to shape what the format of the podcast should look like and how to approach what it is you're trying to achieve. You have to be really clear on that. And so many people are trying to get sponsors and they want to be charting and they want to send out press releases and they want, awards, but like they don't even know who they're talking to, right? And so it's like, we figure that out first. It's be so much easier to get more listeners if you know who they are. So
I love that. That's like a masterclass in sales by itself, what you just said. In all honesty, you might be talking about podcasts, but it really does. So the last time we talked, you mentioned the fact that we need to treat our podcast stage like you're inviting a guest into your house, right? They're the guest, and you're not going to just let them do whatever they want to do, but you want to make them feel comfortable, right? And so on and so forth. What would you say? How are the people that, especially people that you might be either coaching or coming to you for work, how do you help them to determine their invitation list? how do you help them to determine what's going to be served during the dinner? What kind of the after dinner conversations are we having? How should someone actually be considering when they're, starting a podcast, especially if they have it in mind that this is something that they eventually want to monetize, but they want people to feel comfortable coming to their house?
Yeah. It's so interesting, right? Because it's self-serving for both people.
Yeah.
So the person hosting has their own goals and their own, and probably many goals, right? Goals around sales, whatever your offer is, but also thought leadership and building your own, base of content that is your content library. That's your internet footprint. There's a thought leadership piece there and an expertise establishment that is going to be very self-interested in addition to, I want to serve others. And then the person who's coming to the podcast is certainly agreeing to do so for visibility for themselves, right? And so I think it is an interesting kind of dance to say, I know you're here for you, but if you're going to want to be welcome at this table, you're actually here for me and you're here for my audience and you're here for what I'm trying to accomplish. So I think the biggest thing you can do is honestly be really clear on what that is. And then secondarily, tell the guest this is what we're trying to do here. So I invite you and this is the goal. This is what we want to accomplish. This is what I hope my audience will get out of this conversation. When you welcome someone back multiple times, this is overall what I hope this arc will lead to. This is, and let them know this is who the people are. This is how we want to serve them. And that's going to make the guest able to stay on target. And it's their responsibility to figure out how to also make that serve their own agenda. I
love that. I'm literally at one point where you were talking, I'm like, don't give her a high five right now. Just hold on, just wait. Because that was really so good. I'm just like, stop. Because I don't think people have that much foresight, to be honest with you. Whether it's a podcast, whether it's a speaking opportunity, whether it's just a sales conversation, I don't think we come with that level of foresight unless we are having these kind of conversations. How did you come to the realization that this is what people need in order to be successful in what they're doing?
That's so interesting. I honestly think it largely comes just from experience and seeing. I love statistics and data, and I love digging into that. And the reality is that 50% of people who start podcasts quit before episode 11. And some unbelievable statistic, 90% of people never make it to a full year of weekly podcasting. So to have already made it beyond that is a testament to being committed to what it is you're trying to accomplish. And so in doing kind of the research on why do people quit, there's a lot of reasons, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort.
It is.
But in order for it to just not be another thing on your to-do list, which none of us need, you have to be really clear on these things, right? And so it was really for me looking at what sets podcasts that get results apart, because there's really three directions it can go. You quit and it goes nowhere. You keep going, nobody's listening, or it grows. And so what are the differentiating factors to be the one that grows? That's what we want to do.
So true. So true. Oh my goodness. Have you ever gone to a networking event or a conference and found that although you made great connections and you walked away with a stack full of business cards, you still didn't have a real plan for how to get a good return on your investment of both time and money? Well, let me tell you, having a networking and sales planner is a way for you to be more intentional about the way that you network.
Hey, I'm Susan Gladstein. I'm a functional nutrition and metabolism specialist, and I got connected with Tish because she is a rock star at systems and sales, and so I downloaded the planner to help get my brain organized as I went through a rebrand and launched a new course. And it's really helped me sort of get things out of my head and onto paper so that I can actually do follow-ups and not just rely on my brain. So far it's rocking my world and making my business systems that were non-existent actually have some sort of structure. So I love it. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed.
I've been working with sales professionals for almost 15 years. And one of the things that I find is that when they don't have a plan, they do nothing. They sit at their desk and wonder what to do. Well, with this networking and sales planner, you have profit-producing activities for every single day of the week. It tells you where to go, what to say, even gives you prompts as to how to interact with people that you don't know. If you're an introvert and you feel like this isn't for you, I have already thought of you because I understand exactly how introverts think. So this gives you the tools enabling you to be armed with words, with language, so that you can make your networking more profitable.
Hey everyone, Rachel Neighbors here from solo401k.com. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about how awesome this sales networking planner is that Tish put out. So as you can see, I have it on my Remarkable. That's my sort of e-ink planner. And this sales planner has been so helpful for me. So I'm an old school pay-per-click marketer. I do Google ads, Facebook ads, and I know how to turn advertising into profit. But I didn't know how to turn network sales into profit. And when I met Tish, this woman literally wrote the book on networking called, Networking is Not a One-Night Stand. And she's put that experience and that energy and those valuable tips into this networking sales planner. And I just think that it can be so powerful for you in your business. I know it's been really helpful for me and mine. One thing that Tish told me is, Rachel, when you meet someone, put them into your planner and then follow up with them like they're a lead that you've generated on Google Ads or that you followed up with or that you've generated on Facebook. And that has been so helpful and transformative in my business. So thank you, Tish, for this awesome planner.
Maybe you don't even like networking. You say things like, networking doesn't work. Well, let me tell you, when you have a plan in place, you have some intention, and you have the tools to be able to make it work, you will see a different result. My new networking and sales planner is a game changer. It's the difference between you going to an event, wandering around and walking away without any purpose and without any new money, and walking into an event with a plan, with a purpose, and being able to convert new clients into your business. No one wants to feel inauthentic and pushy or even salesy when following up. So frequently we just don't do it at all. Well, the profitable follow-up formula, which is in the back of your networking and sales planner, will give you the tools and the language and the frequency with which you should be following up so that it feels very authentic. It feels genuine and natural both to you and to the people that you're reaching out to. Go to tishtimes.com/planner to get your digital or physical version of your planner.
Hi, my name is Cheryl James from CL James Consulting, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how awesome this networking sales planner is. I started intentionally networking at the beginning of this year, and I have been using my planner on a regular basis, not only to get inspiration, but to track the people I want to meet and the people I have met, and to make sure that I follow up with them from week to week. So if you are looking to network intentionally and hold yourself accountable, this planner is a must-have.
And once you get your planner, you'll also receive a video series that's going to teach you how to maximize your networking and how to use this planner to get the best result and best return on your investment of both time and money. If you are ready to stop wasting time with networking and turn your networking into a sales machine, then go to tishtimes.com/planner and grab your networking and sales planner. So I have a question for you. It may seem a little off topic, but
I'm ready.
Yeah. What's the biggest, bravest thing that you have on your calendar for the remainder of this year?
Ooh, gosh, that's such a good question. I kind of need a second to think about that, actually.
We'll sit here and wait.
I do feel like I'm kind of in this space right now where I'm trying to, and I think hosting Big Brave Business actually really helps with this because having those conversations, and we were talking about the kind of content strategy of batch recording before we started recording together today, where I do batch and I will record in the same maybe like 2-day span, sometimes up to 12 podcast episodes at a time, and most of them take place on a Wednesday right now. That's my like recording schedule, and so I'll call it like my Big Brave Wednesday. And I feel like one of the reasons that lights me up is because it helps me practice exercising the muscle of just being bigger and braver. And so one of the big things I've been really trying to do is what would be the Big Brave version of this. And so I feel like it's kind of everything. I mean, there's a lot of things with the public policy director position that feel really big and brave to me. I think there's a lot of imposter syndrome, right? Even with, I teach public policy, but I still feel like, oh, I don't know, am I the one to do this? Like, I don't know that I know everything. Nobody knows everything, right? And I think just trying to grow my business, I've recently, within the past year and a half, updated our entire sales model and the way that our team operates. And so this year is kind of exciting because now a little over a year in, it's like we get to see how that's working. And that feels exciting and big and brave. And then I'm doing a lot more speaking on stages, which doesn't actually feel brave to me, but it does feel big. I love to speak. I've always said I have never met a microphone I didn't like. I've been speaking as part of my job since I was 14. I mean, theater kid, natural performer, but I think that being on more stages, being more visible. Being visible is hard. It is. Being visible is a brave thing. So
it sure is.
I think more visibility is like kind of putting your money where your mouth is of I'm not just doing the big brave thing, I'm ready for people to see me do it. Ooh. And that's, so I think it's everything, honestly. It's just really trying to put myself out of my comfort zone more often, push myself and see, and always questioning, what would the bigger, braver version of this look like?
I love that.
And using that kind of as a prompt.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. What would you say, who is the person right now who needs you the most? You know, who you feel like you're uniquely gifted to serve, and what would they be Googling right now to find you?
Ooh, well, if my SEO was on point, that's a whole other question, right? But I feel like this is an SEO exercise. Right? I feel like the ideal podcast client is somebody who has been in business probably ideally for more than 5 years, but more than 3 is probably sufficient. They're making significant revenue, right? At this point, they are going from how do I make money, like they figured that part out, to now what do I want this company to look like? Like I'm running a company. And now that's a whole different discussion, right? You're not trying to figure out how do I make my next dollar. You already know the answer to that. You're not trying to figure out what is my offer. You're not trying to figure out who is my ideal client. That stuff is already, that's the kind of early stages place. And I actually think I thrive at helping people with those things, but that really is not the ideal place to start a podcast and get results. The ideal place to get results from a podcast is when you have an audience to nurture, when you have a pipeline that you are trying to nurture. So if you're in that situation, that's really going to be more ideal for like starting a podcast. Now, with that being said, when we look at like the sales funnel, I'm talking about traditional ongoing podcasting, and that sits down at the bottom of your funnel, ideally. It's going to generate some leads, but it's not ideal as your lead generation machine. It's not going to do the same as ads. It's not going to do the same as social media. It's not, but guesting on other people's podcasts does sit higher up in the funnel, right? So there's a way to leverage the power of podcasting kind of everywhere in the funnel. It just depends on really what's your biggest priority right now. And the main thing that PodFox does is the traditional ongoing podcasting. We do a lot of other anything related to podcasting, but so that's really going to sit. If your focus is down at that nurture, it's improving your retention, it's improving your conversion. That's really the ideal place. Does that answer your question?
It definitely does. Okay. But it brings up another question though, because I've been around you enough now to know that you have some really, I think, sophisticated may not be the right word, but I think unique.
I like it.
Right? Some sales strategies that are really good. But what would you say is the boldest or most unconventional sales strategy, be it, podcast related or not, that you would say you've implemented that caused people to say, God, why didn't I think of that?
I don't know if it's caused people to say that. It's definitely caused a lot of people to say, you're crazy, I would never do that. That would never work for my audience. But honestly, what has worked really well for me from pretty much 2019 when I started PodFox, my company officially, it wasn't called that then, is I do a 90-minute strategy session one-on-one privately with anyone who wants to start a podcast, and it's completely free. And I've been told nobody will sign up for a 90-minute sales call. I've been told you should do it as a group. I've been told you should charge for this, which I love to hear because honestly, that's the goal.
Yeah.
We charge on the back end. If you loved it, then then we're going to charge you. That's the goal. Also, just to provide so much value that whenever anybody else in your life then tells you, offhand even, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, you're like, oh, you have to do the strategy session, right? That's the goal, is that it adds that much value. So then we get built-in referrals as well. And I think for me, it comes down to being two things: mission driven. And the mission is, I believe that podcasting is for everyone. It's a really low barrier to entry. It's a way to build your own platform, to use your voice because your voice matters. And because I really, truly believe in that, offering support for anybody to try to get past episode 11, if they actually do start a podcast, is the goal, right? And so that's what that strategy session is really all about. And to do it privately is so that I can connect and I can build a personal relationship. Obviously, yes, I do have limited calendar space to do that. So hence the sales team, right? So now there's multiple account managers on my team who are trained to, deliver the same support and the same strategy, and so that we can serve even more potential podcasters. And the other reason why is because, honestly, as you can tell, I'm a talker. I could not do a 30-minute sales call. I couldn't do it.
Right. You're like,
I couldn't keep it to that. There's so much I want to tell you. Let me share all the things. I want it to be as meaningful and supportive as possible. And that always brings up a lot of questions and things like that. And so it's really good discussion. And so 90 minutes feels good to me because it doesn't need to take 90 minutes. If we don't need the whole 90 minutes, it's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't want to have to be like, I have a hard stop and I have to run. This is a really great conversation, but see ya. So 90 minutes felt good. And we've questioned that so many times of well, should we make it a group thing that's only offered, once or twice a month and just get as many people into it as possible? Should we charge for it? Should we, what is this going to look like? And we do toy with a lot of things, but for almost 6 years now, it works.
I completely agree. And let me tell you why. Because I do both. I do a, what we call a round table, basically. So it's, 6 to 8 people, and it works. But when I have a one-on-one, we do our sales assessment, and I do a one-on-one with someone, it's about an 80% conversion rate. And so it works from a sales perspective. And even if they walk away and they don't purchase anything, man, do they got some value. They have a lot. They can put something in place right away. Yeah. So, good gracious. You're going to be a regular here, girl.
I would love to. I'm back at you, obviously, on Big Brave Business, too.
For sure. Yeah. So, tech for podcasting. The things, of course, mostly related to monetization or being able to increase visibility so that someone could actually use this part of their sales process. What's your one tool that you would recommend if there were anything if someone was doing it themselves?
So you mean tech like microphones, et cetera. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is actually really awesome, and we didn't even plan this, but I just updated our equipment recommendation list, and we have a bunch of equipment recommendations at all different budgets. Right. So whether you're starting with stuff you already have or you are a tech geek and you love getting toys, because that's me. I'm like, ooh, what can I get? That's fun to me. And depending on also what you need. So whether you're going to be doing more like field interviews or if it's just solo episodes by yourself in your home office or whatever. And we have an AI component. So there's a PDF list. So if you are anti-AI, you do not have to use AI. You don't even ever have to open it. No one will ever know. Right. Like AI will never know you existed. That's fine. You can totally do that. It's just a PDF and it has everything listed and highlighted by recommendation. But then I also have an AI bot that in less than 3 minutes, it will ask you like a couple simple questions and it will spit out recommended technology for you at your budget and for what you need.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So both of those things are there in one sign up, and that's at podfoxmedia.com. There's a resources tab. And then, but in general, I would say it's not about the tech, it's about the content, honestly. Like the tech does matter. It has to be good enough, but truly, okay, this is a mouthful.
Yeah.
Mediocre quality as far as like quality of the audio recording, but excellent content will outperform
all day
excellent audio and mediocre content.
I agree. Look.
So the content's more important.
You know what was really funny? Well, you commented on this yesterday. So you remember they did the mashup of our season 1. Those were on my Zoom in my office by myself, me doing everything. And I was like, those people were so good. I didn't pay attention to, did it sound all right? Was there echoey, whatever? You know what I mean? It was just the people brought the fire, and that's what made the difference. So I fully agree.
If the quality is bad, then that is a deterrent.
That could be a problem.
But mediocre's fine.
It was okay, right? It was really good because of what the people brought to the table. Okay, the last question, because, time is a thing. Good gracious. Who have you had to become to enjoy the level of success that you currently enjoy?
Gosh, I don't want to just sound like a broken record. Bigger and braver. I think I'm more me, and it sounds so cheesy, but it is really honest too. And I think it's what probably most people would say, right? Which is trusting me, having my own back, and like being, focused on self-awareness. And I think like knowing myself and trusting myself to just be me, that is honestly, I think I say this all the time, but you have everything you need already inside of you. Yeah. And it's so noisy on social media of people trying to sell you stuff, right? Yep. We're both trying to sell you stuff, right? Everybody's got their own sales agenda, and sometimes it's hard to just hear yourself and what you know to be true. But the reality is you do already have everything you need inside of you. And being able to listen to that and trust that is, I think, the biggest learning that I'm just always still doing. And it gets hard, right? It does get hard to hear yourself. We're like trained from toddlerhood not to listen to our own intuition. And so then becoming an entrepreneur as an adult is like, oh, really? You have to go back to that human nature piece. And it's not easy. But I'm really good at what I do. And trusting that is, it gets easier with time.
Okay, I got to give you a high five on that one.
Yeah,
totally high five.
Yeah.
That for me was the biggest learning, the biggest lesson. And it was so pivotal, so profound that I remember the moment I got it. I remember where I was standing, literally. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. And I'm not going to try. And we talked about it during our last podcast. It was like, I'm a woman of faith. I don't try to hide that anymore, because there was a time when I did. You know what I mean? I have strong beliefs on certain things. I have my quirky side. I'm just like, sometimes I can get a little ghetto about talking. And you know what? And it's all okay. And being okay being you is the best gift I think you can give yourself.
Yep.
God.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that? Being yourself, being who, what I would say God has called you to be, created you to be at your core, and being okay with that is one of the best gifts you can give to yourself.
Yeah.
We're going to have Sarah back again, because there's definitely more to talk about. And I'm so glad that you hung out with us today. Sarah, once more, share with them how they can find you, where do you want them to go to find you and to get that cool PDF as well.
Yeah, thank you. So the resource for equipment recommendations is podfoxmedia.com. And there's a resources page, but there's also all kinds of stuff. To do the 90-minute strategy session, if you're thinking of starting a podcast, my team is on standby. We would love to talk with you. That's launchmyshow.com. Try to make it easy. And I mostly hang out on Instagram and Threads. I have been spending a lot more time on LinkedIn, and it's just my name, Sarah K. Heeter. So hopefully we can link all that. But yeah, that's mainly where I hang out, and I would love to meet everybody that's a sold out sales listener. If you're Tish's people, you're my people.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. You know what I'm going to tell you? Go implement something that you heard today. It can change your business. It can change your life. And with this one, you can change your podcast. So get out there and do something that you heard today. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I would be so appreciative if you would show me and my amazing guests some love by leaving a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, go over to tishtimes.com/resource page and make sure you pick up your sales and networking handbook, especially for introverts. Also, I'd love to continue this conversation, so make sure you connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'll see you back here next week.